My daughter received a bike from her uncle, my brother, on her 11th birthday. She was over the moon and excited to use it because it was on her wish list for so long. Days ago, I discovered that my husband reached out to my brother to ask for the recipient for the bike and returned it to the store, and kept the money for himself while my daughter was at school. The bike was at home. My daughter and I got home and she started crying after noticing the bike was gone. My husband was home at the time. He told me he returned the bike and got money in return to spend on something useful for us since the bike was just there as a distraction and there was no need for it now since we're the dead of winter. I was aggravated and lost it on him, saying it wasn't his, didn't come from him. And he didn't pay for it, so he had no right to touch it, knowing our daughter's been wanting it for a long time, and my brother was decent enough to buy it for her despite barely having money to get him by. I told him what he did was theft and insisted he hand over the money to me so I could repurchase it, but he said he spent it on stuff for the house and doesn't have any money left now. But I knew about the money he was stashing away in the bedroom that he forbade me from tossing, and I took some of it and went out to repurchase the bike while he was out the next day. He found out and verbally lashed out at me, saying I should have never touched the money he was saving for himself, which isn't much, but I lashed right back that I had to so I could repurchase the bike he took from under our daughter. He explained that he didn't keep the money for himself and instead spent it for necessities for our home, but he was at fault for taking the bike in the first place and he was responsible for getting it back. He yelled at me for almost 10 minutes, then stormed outside and started smoking. My daughter asked why her dad was upset and that she no longer wants the bike if dad doesn't want her to have it. But I assured her that's not the case and told her she shouldn't feel guilty and to just focus on enjoying her bike. My husband hasn't stopped grilling me about how I disrespected and undermined him, and managed to make our daughter hate him after making him look like the bad guy. I again said he shouldn't have touched the bike. End of the story. He's called me thief and juvenile for taking money from his savings and being sneaky about it. One of my best friends lives in a different country. We met years ago online and have talked almost daily to what is approaching a decade. We have both flown back and forth once or twice a year to see the other and hang out, and we've always been there for each other's big moments. She found out last year that she is expecting her first child, and it was amazing news for us all. I was so happy for her to start the family I know she's always wanted with her husband. She came to visit a few months into her pregnancy and asked me to be the baby's godmother. I was over the moon. While we live an 8-hour plane ride from each other, I do have a job that gives me decent vacation allowance and deals with certain airlines that makes visiting manageable. I knew that I could be there for her, and told her that whenever she was ready for someone outside of the family to be there, I would make the trip. Last month, she had her baby shower. And I only found out when I saw on Instagram a mutual friend who lives in the same city as me had surprised her at the shower. I hadn't been invited. I was a little hurt and surprised, but it was the busiest month of the year for the company I work for, and I knew she knew that. So I figured that could be the reason, sent my gift by airmail and said congratulations. However, now she's reached out to me and told me that she has asked another friend, the same person who went to the baby shower, to be the baby's godmother, and that she only wants her child to have one. I felt like I'd been punched in the gut. I was heartbroken and felt a bit betrayed. For 6 months I have been excited to take on the role. My own godmother lives in New Zealand and has done for most of my life, so I knew it could work. Knew how to stay in contact and be a part of the child's life while living in another country. But now she's taken back her offer and chosen someone else. I wouldn't be so upset if she had chosen someone who lived closer, but she has replaced me with someone who lives in the same city as me, so it's not a distance thing. We have been friends for years. I have been there with updates, support, and love her whole pregnancy. And at no point was there any clue she had changed her mind until the baby shower a few weeks ago. I don't know if I should confront her, tell her I'm hurt, or just accept her decision. It's her baby. And I would never want to force her into a decision she wasn't happy with. I just don't know what to do or say to her now. I want to let her know I'm sad that I'm missing out, but I don't want to sound like I'm whining. And I want to know why she changed her mind, but I'm scared the answer will just upset me. My brother lost his job along with all his savings several months ago, and soon after he asked me if it would be okay. if he and his wife stayed with me until they could afford their own place again. I hesitated at first, considering I only have a one-bedroom apartment, but according to them they had no other options, so of course I invited them over and bought a blow-up mattress for the living room. For the first month things were manageable, although admittedly cramped. Then my brother told me that sleeping on the mattress was giving him back pains. So he asked if he could buy a small double bed for the living room. The living room is by far the biggest room I have, so I told him that would be fine as long as there was still room for my couch, TV, bookshelves. The living room is also connected to my kitchen in an open plan style. So I reminded my brother to leave walking space around the bed. It's now been 2 months and things have gotten a lot worse. When they first moved in, I would still use the living room every day to unwind on the couch after work. Now whenever I go in, there's a strange vibe like I'm intruding. My brother and his wife are often sitting in bed together when I go in. I always knock and stare at me pointedly until I leave. Sometimes when I sit down they will directly ask me for some alone time and say they would like the room to themselves. This came to a head yesterday when my sister-in-law messaged me with a timetable she'd made of when it would be a good time for me to use the living room. The timetable basically says that they will allow me into the room for an hour each evening, plus 20 minutes around meal times. I basically shut her down instantly and told her there was no way I'd be following the timetable since in the end it's my apartment. She sent me back a huge message with a dozen paragraphs about how my constant presence was ruining her marriage with my brother and they feel like they have no privacy. I tried to talk this over with my brother that night, but when I got home neither my brother /SIL were talking to me. So he's clearly just as pissed. Today an Amazon parcel arrived for my brother with a lock for the living room door, which I told him there's absolutely no way I will allow him to install. My brother says I'm creepy for wanting constant access to where they sleep and he's insisting on installing the lock anyway. I am 25 years old and I am getting married to my fiancé Kevin next month. My family love Kevin and Kevin loves them. However, my mom is the brutally honest type who constantly dish out her opinions and thought on what people wear, how they look, how well off they are. Mostly negative, tasteless, backhanded comments. She says she can't help it and that no one should be offended when she's just being honest. When she met Kevin, she kept making comments about him, his car, his degree, etc. With time and strict conversations I was able to get her to show some respect. But she kept annoying Kevin by constantly talking about his hairless face. His face is clean, he doesn't have a beard or mustache, which he can be very insecure about. He comes from Irish origins, so he's white, he has no facial hair, while I'm Hispanic. Mom made jokes with her husband about how unmanly it is to not be able to grow a beard or a mustache. Those comments hurt Kevin so much. I had a very stern conversation with her and she said, "Oh, I didn't realize those remarks were offending him, I was just teasing him," or, "You know me, I'm just giving my humble, honest opinion, so he shouldn't take it personal and should learn that this is how I am." She ended up sincerely apologizing to Kevin and we left it at that. As the wedding is approaching, Mom decided to give Kevin a wedding gift and also to let him know how sorry she was for her past behavior. She invited the whole family for dinner and decided it was the perfect time to hand Kevin his wedding gift. He thanked her, but she insisted that he open it right there and then and show everyone what she got him since she knew him that well already. He opened the box and found a set of shaving tools with a shaving cream. Kevin stopped for a sec and kept staring at the gift. My stepdad took it and showed everyone, then Mom and others started laughing while stepdad kept saying, "You get the joke, Kev? You get it?" And my brother running around the table laughing with everyone. Kevin got up and walked out. I was so mad I lost it on Mom asking why she did that and humiliated Kevin in front of everyone. She told me to relax, she was just messing with him, but I said she knew how he felt about this topic and demanded she apologize. But she said no since she wasn't responsible for his reaction and thought he was going to laugh along. I angrily said no apology, no wedding invitation, period, then walked out. She freaked out, tried to say we overreacted to a joke, and my brother said I was crazy to exclude Mom from my wedding over something so stupid. He said Kevin should get over it since it was a joke, but I refused to send an invitation and withheld until / unless she apologizes. They think I'm unreasonable choosing this to be my hill to die on and called me disrespectful for how I treated my mom. I'd like to point out that my brother and stepdad and uncle sometimes take part in teasing Kevin. My brother, who's 31 years old, would sometimes either brag about his goatee mustache in front of Kevin or tell an indirect silly joke about this topic which would irritate Kevin and just spoil any family gathering we have. But mom is the one who started this whole campaign and I've already had conversations with her about it.